that two people are on. So for those of you who are here, this is the October 2020 live stream. I'm doing it here right at the end of the month. I'm sorry I couldn't get this to you guys this past weekend. I usually try to do these like the last Sunday or so in September, of the month, the last Sunday or so of the month, but I couldn't, I had to run down to West Virginia for some stuff, so I wasn't able to do that this year. Or, man, what is wrong with me today? This month. So, that being said, as usual, we'll just hang out here for a while. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and put them down below, and I'll answer those as they come in. Up to 3 now. So, as you can see, I'm here in my apartment again. That's why the lighting's kind of weird too. It's just natural light. But this may be the last live stream that I do from this apartment, which I'll talk to you guys more about that either here or in some other videos that I'm in the process of creating. Just updates on life, things like that. I feel like I haven't got you guys updated that much this year because I've been so busy with this job and, well, everything that happened before that too. Getting laid off and getting a job I hated and the things going on with a girlfriend and like all that stuff. There was a lot going on, and so I feel like there's a ton of stuff that I got to update you guys on. One of the good things is that I am home now, at least for right now in the foreseeable future, and that means that I should have some more time to make the videos. That being said, though, as soon as I got home, literally wasn't even home yet, it was in the Lyft on the way home, started getting phone calls and just absolutely have been slammed with responsibilities. I thought I was coming home for a couple weeks to take care of getting moved out of my apartment and getting my car fixed, and those two things ended up being way more complicated than I ever imagined they could be. But then on top of that, it just seems like everything imaginable has popped up that I've got to take care of, really before I can even do either one of those two things. So a whole lot of stuff that I've still got to figure out. Hey, hopefully you'll talk about your election prediction. So that's actually something that I have been thinking about a lot over the summer. I've traveled a lot this year, so I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on where like the whole country is as far as politics, and especially getting closer to election season, just seeing people who they're supporting as far as like signs they have out front of their house. I've been all over the place. I've been, West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Alabama, Mississippi, Idaho, Illinois, Oklahoma. I feel like I'm missing some places. But those are just the states I worked in. And I traveled through even more states than that. And here's what I think is going to happen. What happened to the old car? I'll give you an update on that. So essentially, what I have witnessed politically, just seeing who people support, I think that there's overwhelming support for Trump. And especially going back to my hometown just a few days ago, it's almost like a cult status thing. I don't know that I'd say for sure that he's going to win, but I think there's a very good chance of it. And that's just from what I've seen, as far as the level of support that I've seen. To answer the question about the car, so I don't have the car anymore. I sold it in February. I still have my new car, but I don't have my old car anymore. And that was a big deal for me to get rid of that because I loved that thing. But I could just never get the money together to get it fixed. And I was stuck with the new car because I had a loan on it. So either way, I was going to have to keep it and pay it off. And then I didn't need two cars. So it was really hard, guys. It truly was very hard for me to get rid of that car. But I did sell it. I think I got 500 out of it. Maybe it was 600. But that was at least one fewer thing that I had to be worried about while I was deployed. I didn't have to worry that they were going to tow it or something because it wasn't moving. Oh, and it wasn't, you asked about the transmission on that. It actually wasn't the transmission. It was the engine. It was seized. I'm not sure what happened to it. The day that it blew up, the oil light came on, and I added a quart of oil. It was the first time the oil light had ever come on that car, and it seemed to be fine. I drove it probably another 10 or 20 miles that day, and then it just kind of stopped. So when they checked it, they said there was no oil in it at all. So apparently it had somehow started leaking really badly. But you know, the oil light never even came back on after that, so I had no way to know that anything was going on with it. And I am trying, if you guys wonder what I'm doing here in the background, I'm trying to get because I can't always see comments on the screen, they only pop up for a second or two. I'm actually trying to follow them on the computer, but for some reason it looks like the stream is not working on the computer. So is it working for you guys? Because I see that there are 7 people here. It just kind of froze up on my end. I tried to refresh it and then it just said the site can't be reached. Okay, you're seeing me. Okay. Why not do daily vlogs? So this is something that I've thought about doing because somebody suggested it. Literally, it's been like 3 years ago now that somebody suggested that I do vlogging. There are a couple of vlogs on my channel. Out of over like 100 videos, a couple of them are vlogs. But I did those videos because people requested that I do that style of video. And then they were some of the lowest viewed videos that I had up there. So that's one reason. Another reason is that I don't really do anything that is exciting that anyone would care to see. You know, part of being frugal and like working on living on a budget and using every bit you have to pay off debt is that you live a pretty boring lifestyle. So there's really, I mean, honestly, most people aren't going to want to watch me wake up, maybe go to McDonald's for breakfast, and then sit here and reply to emails all day, and maybe go to Target for something to do that day. Like, that's just not exciting. If ever there's a time where I'm maybe unburied from all of my debt and I can live a little, maybe there would be the option of doing that then. But the other issue with it is when I do something exciting, you know, I kind of want to enjoy it, and I don't feel like I can fully do that when I'm worried about filming and all that stuff. I just kind of want to be in the moment. So I'm definitely not saying no to daily vlogs. It is almost certainly something I will do in the future, but it won't be daily. It would be like for a special event. Like if I went to like, say, VidCon or something like that, I would probably vlog there. Or, you know, Max. Hey Max, I might actually need help with video stuff. Now that I am back home from work, I'm pretty much planning on delving like full-time into YouTube. and I haven't had the opportunity to learn a lot. Like, I can do basic editing in iMovie, and I can generally Google stuff and figure out what it is that I need to do. But you might be able to help me out, at least until I could learn how to do it. And you guys, I'm still trying to get the comments fixed here in the background. So far, they're not coming in so fast that I can't see them on the screen, but that does occasionally happen. So I'm just going to continue working here in the background on getting this fixed. But yeah, so I do want to leave most of the details to what's going on to like a video that I am making that's a full update. But as of right now, I am at home. I have been home since October 9th, and I thought I could dive straight in and, you know, do YouTube and make all the videos, all the ideas that have piled up over the last couple of years, and I could get all that stuff out. But as soon as I got home, like, I was slammed with just so many requests for different things from different people and organizations, and I just, like, am pulled in every direction. So essentially, once I get the car fixed and get the apartment moved out of, that'll be the majority of that stuff taken care of, and then I'll be able to focus on just making content. I obviously will be making more videos, but I'll be able to spend more time on the videos and maybe do a little bit more with editing. I'll be able to respond to comments more often, and I'll be able to sort of beef up my social media and actually start using that. If you're not following the social media for the channel, I do have Twitter, Instagram, and a Facebook fan page. I think they're all the MarkGoudy as the username. So you can look into that. I'll be trying to spend a little more time on that. There's actually a ton of stuff that I want to do, and once I get sort of moved out of here, I'm actually going to form an Eisenhower matrix and take a look at what is the highest priority to do right now. Because unfortunately, even though I do have the time to work on this stuff right now, this isn't going to last forever. Either the channel's going to kind of take off enough where I can live off that, or I'm going to have to go get a job. And I've got a few months to figure out what's going to happen with that. Even if it doesn't take off in the next few months and I have to go get a job, I'm still going to eventually do this full time. But essentially right now I'm just doing it temporarily full time until things get figured out. Alright. I would like to know why my computer is not working and won't load YouTube at all. So, any questions for me, just go ahead and post them. I don't necessarily have a topic for today other than just to tell you guys, like, generally what's going on in my life. So any questions you have, make sure you post them. I'm still fiddling with the computer in the background. It's just acting like YouTube doesn't exist. It just literally won't load it at all. Alright, come on. I might have gotten it here. Okay, let's see if it loads this time. Oh, thank you, whoever gave me a like. So yeah, basically, I am not sure where I'm at right now because I am home, but I might get called back to work. And The program that I'm in goes through at least December, like the end of December. When I left, though, they were talking about making it go till March, maybe even longer. But at the same time, they have really consolidated a lot. They were laying a lot of people off, and I didn't get laid off, but I just haven't been redeployed yet. So I'm not sure if I eventually will be or not. I did go ahead and file for unemployment, just as like still being employed but getting a reduction in hours. But it does take a few weeks for unemployment to start coming in, and I filed 2 claims so far. I did go ahead and I know this is not anything that I've like talked to you guys about on here really. Well, and it's actually not something that I've even done for good 5+ years, but I did apply for food stamps and for the state medical card. I have no idea if I'll actually get those. I don't know if I qualify, but I do technically not have any income, especially until the unemployment comes in. So, I mean, if I can get them, I'll get them. If not, whatever. But I thought I should at least try, just apply and see if they approve me. Because it's just going to make my entire situation overall easier if I do get some help. Essentially, I have whatever I can bring in from YouTube. I have my unemployment, which hopefully gets approved, and then I do have a lot of savings. So I don't want to blow completely through that, but I do have a lot of savings that can sustain me for a few months. And on top of that, which I can't really talk a whole lot about here, but as I told you guys, I am moving. So the place that I found to move to is far cheaper. So I'm paying $689 a month right here, plus utilities. But there, I'm going to be paying $385 a month, and that includes utilities, including internet. So the only utility I'm going to have to worry about is just my cell phone bill. So I'm pretty significantly reducing my living expenses. And that's my top expense every month is my rent. So it's not the best place, but it does have some advantages. And then on top of that, it being cheaper. So what I'm essentially trying to do is I'm trying to reduce my overhead and increase my income as much as possible. And because it's $385 a month, like I could legitimately make that just off AdSense on YouTube in a month. I mean, I'd have to make a lot of videos, but that's not unreasonable for me to make, especially during the Christmas season when ad rates are higher. So I could potentially cover my rent, utilities, and internet just with what I make on YouTube, which then means that if I'm also getting unemployment, then that would cover my student loan payment and essentially food and gas and my cell phone bill, which would be my only other expenses. So that's kind of what I'm trying to explore right now. Unfortunately, and we will talk about this in the November budget with me video, because I'm moving, I have to spend a lot of money. There's some stuff I gotta buy to outfit the new place, and moving is expensive itself. So I'm saving money by moving all of my furniture myself, just renting a U-Haul, all of that kind of stuff, but it's still expensive. It's like $20 for the truck, $40 for insurance for the day, and then it's 69 cents a mile for a U-Haul. And it's like a good 100 miles at least each direction. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, and it especially sucks because I don't have money coming in right now, but I am going to have to spend some of the money that I've saved in order to make this move happen, in order to continue saving more money in the future. So yeah, I'm kind of uncomfortable about that, and I think I've kind of been dragging my feet a little bit in actually getting that done. I do already have the new place. I've stayed there a couple of nights, but most of my stuff is still here in Columbus. Um, but once I get the furniture moved, that's going to be most of it. Everything else is just kind of like random stuff. I've already taken everything that was boxed up. So, yeah, that's why I said this might be the last live stream from this location. More than likely, my new apartment will be where I'll be filming videos from now on. And one good thing about it is it has much better lighting. It has no natural lighting, but the overhead lights are very bright. You can either have them, all of them on, all of them off, or half on. And I mean, they're so brilliantly bright. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell the difference between like bright natural light and that. So it'll at least look good for the videos. All right, so we got 10 people here now. All right, that's our peak for today. Let's see, does anybody have any other questions for me? All right, I don't see any other questions coming in, but go ahead and keep them coming. Keep typing if you are. Essentially, these usually run anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half. But if you guys don't have any more questions, I don't have a lot more as far as updates. Just know that tomorrow's the end of the month, so I'll be filming my October budget review, and then on Sunday I'll be filming the budget with me for November, and then it'll just be a matter of basically, do you think a vaccine's coming soon, or is Trump lying? I don't really know. Like, I think it's kind of both. Like, I think that there is a vaccine coming soon. Well, let me do it this way. No, I definitely think he's lying, because I don't think he knows what he's talking about. So even if there, in fact, is a vaccine coming, he's not saying that because of a knowledge of it. He's saying that because he's trying to make it seem like this will all be over soon, and that therefore, like, we don't have to take things as seriously as far as like restrictions, precautions, things like that. That being said, I know that there are several vaccines that are in clinical trials. The company that I just worked for is also trying to develop one. I have no idea. I'm concerned with how quickly the vaccine is being produced. I'm afraid of possible side effects of it because of the rush. Personally, I'm not going to get it. I mean, I may well get the virus. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm not going to get the vaccine. One, because I don't like needles. I'm terrified of them. And I also I don't trust that with how quickly the vaccine has been developed, that either one, it would work, or two, that there wouldn't be some serious side effects that they just don't know about yet, because they haven't seen it, after from basically the point of injection to, maybe a few years down the road, if it does cause any problems. So I don't have an issue with vaccination itself, other than the fact that it's through a needle, which I don't like. And generally, I might be vaccinated. Like, I got a tetanus shot back in May as part of my job, so I'm like definitely not opposed to it. But I don't necessarily think that there will be a vaccine. And if there is a vaccine, I don't really know if it's going to work. And if it does work, I'm not sure that it's not going to have undesirable side effects. So essentially that. Now, maybe years down the road, if this is still happening, and there's a vaccine that has been proven that works, and people are not seeing side effects from it, and the virus is still a big issue at that point, maybe I'll take it then. But I guess there's a lot of variables in that. So, I mean, I guess what he's saying is true. Like, it's not that there's not a vaccine being developed. I don't know how true it is that it's soon. I wouldn't think it would be before next year at the earliest. But also, I don't necessarily think that he knows that. Even if that is true, I think that he's just saying that. So, you guys know that I've been working all summer dealing like directly with the virus. Oh, Katie, who is your favorite YouTuber? So, that's hard for me to answer, but I'm gonna try to. When I first started like really sitting down and watching YouTube, it was back in 2014, where I was only working part-time because that's all I could find for work. I had some extra free time, and I started watching YouTube, and there were essentially two people back then that I started watching. One was Matthew Santoro, and he does, or at least did at that time, like listicle kind of things. I'm still subscribed to him, but honestly, he kind of irritates me now. He doesn't make the listicle videos anymore, and those were the ones I kind of liked. He does a lot of stuff about his personal life, and honestly, I don't think he's that great a person. So, and I think that he really, really thinks that he's a great person, and that kind of annoys me. The other person that I used to watch a lot was Jacqueline Glenn, and I do still like her. She essentially, I would say about a quarter of her videos, I think I still like the ones that she's making now. She does have beef with a lot of YouTubers, and she makes a lot of videos based on drama, and I don't like those. Actually, for both of those people, kind of the videos that I like to watch are their mail videos, where people send them mail and they open it, which I can tell you guys that is something that I will be doing here. Once I get moved to this new apartment, there's kind of a weird situation with the mail there, so I have to get a P.O. box anyway. And when I get that P.O. box, I will be posting it on the channel, and then as you guys send me stuff, whatever it might be, I'll open it in a video. So, those were like originally my favorites, but it's kind of hard to say because I don't really subscribe to too many people on YouTube. So I'll watch a lot of their videos, and then just YouTube will just like stop promoting their videos to me, and then I'll forget they exist. Right now I'm watching a lot of but I am basically watching a lot of Ryan George. He does, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the movie pitches or like TV show pitches where he kind of like describes them badly to the producer. I'm kind of watching, let's see here. Man, I should know this. Like, I watch YouTube every day. Who else am I watching? Oh, you know what? I watch a lot of Simon Whistler. He has, like, so many different YouTube channels. Like, it's ridiculous. So, I see your comment there. I'll get to that. But yeah, like, he has so many different channels on so many different topics, and a lot of them are fairly interesting. So sometimes I pay attention, sometimes it's just something to have on for background noise. So I do watch a lot of that. I watch some like mental health related stuff. I watch a little bit of stuff as far as like minimalism, personal development. Um, oh, and you know what? Actually, I just found a channel just a few days ago that, and I cannot remember her name, and her channel name is just her name. But she essentially helps you develop your channel when you're doing coaching, which I know I've been really bad at advertising that, guys, but I do financial coaching. Um, I've really only mentioned it a couple of times, but generally it's just if somebody asks me in the comments for help, and then I'll be like, hey, email me and we'll figure something out. But I do help people set up budgets, or especially if they're in some like weird like debt dispute situation. I do that. So um, that's something, a part of this that I'd like to grow more in the future and am planning to. So I've kind of been watching her videos and getting some ideas of what exactly I'd need to do to get that fully functioning. I'm sure I have other YouTubers, and I don't know why I can't think of any of them right now. As far as like, man, like there's so many more and I can't think of them. But let me get to the other comment here. So Lalo's Adventures says, do you have anything lined up after you're finished? Um, yeah and no. Um, so I'm gonna make a video. Yeah, after your job is finished. I know what you meant. Um, Basically, I'm gonna try to sort of make more of a dedicated video about specifically what I'm doing. But just to give you kind of a basic idea, I had a couple of different companies, three actually, that contacted me that I had applied to back in like January and February when I was looking for jobs after I got laid off. And they have invited me to come in and interview for them, which I might do, but the thing is, if I go get a job right now, then it means that I'm not going to get unemployment. And if I don't take the time that I can be on unemployment, it completely takes away this time where I can focus just on YouTube. I do also have sort of a standing job offer that I could go to in West Virginia, where I interviewed with them over Zoom over the summer, and they knew that I couldn't start until at least October. And they know that I'm in like a particular situation. That job is something that's very high stress and very high turnover. They are constantly hiring, and because of my degree, I would be basically like they would love to have me. So that I think that's why they're being so super flexible about it. That said, I think I absolutely hate it. So it's only something that I would take if, maybe unemployment runs out and I just have to take something. But if I'm going to be honest with you guys, if I take that job, I'm probably not going to be there more than a month or two. I'm going to continue looking for something else. Just because it's something that people burn out on very fast. And honestly, it doesn't pay very much. It's not even like the money makes it worth it. Let me finish answering your other question, and then I'll get to the economy. So basically, I have some ideas of things that I can do when the unemployment starts to run out. And that would be either getting a job locally or potentially finding other self-employment, if it's not YouTube or something related to that, that I could get by on my own while YouTube continues to build. So we'll just have to kind of see how things go, and just when it gets toward the end of the period when I would be getting unemployment, I'll have to look at that point and be like, well, what is the best option right now? So I guess I can't really answer that very well right now. And then you said, do you think the economy will improve in 2021? If you're talking about the economy as far as like the stock market and unemployment rate, yeah, I think that'll improve. But even though those are the things that we generally see as indicators of where the economy stands, I don't think that they actually represent that at all. I think for the average person, it's not going to get better, and it will probably actually get worse. I got very lucky to be in a position where I was still employed. I mean, yes, I got laid off this year, but that layoff had nothing to do with the virus. It was my company making stupid decisions so that they ran out of money, is what it came down to, and then had to lay off 70% of the workforce. Um, I'll answer your question about the extension here. So essentially, I don't think that for most people it's going to get better. Like I said, I was just really lucky that I was employed, didn't get laid off, got to keep the stimulus check as savings because of still being employed. And then I got this job that was actually created by the virus, which leads into what you just asked, which was, is it possible your job will get extended since COVID is spiking up again? Well, you would think so, and yes, it is possible. So originally it was supposed to go through September, and then it got extended to the end of the year. But even though it got extended to the end of the year, they started laying people off and shutting sites down. We originally had, they originally told us we would have 60 sites, and we never did. We got up to around like 45 or so. A couple here and there closed for like political reasons, but for the most part of the program, up until about September, everything was good. Then in September, they closed a bunch of sites, and my last site that I was just at, Glen Mills, PA, is actually one of the sites that closed. They just closed less than a week ago, and my first two sites also closed, Jackson, Mississippi and Birmingham, Alabama. So the only sites that I worked at that are still operational are Chicago, which is going to close because it's in a tent outside and it's going to be winter in Chicago, and Idaho Falls, Idaho, right? Oh, in Muskogee, Oklahoma, which I've been told that Muskogee is closing, but I haven't seen it actually happen yet. So essentially, we're down to 15 sites, last I heard, and because of that, they need fewer staff. They laid a lot of people off. I'm not laid off, but I am home on break and have not got my redeployment information yet. So I'm in this weird limbo where I still work for the company and I'm supposed to be back to work. I was supposed to go back on the 23rd, a week ago, and haven't heard anything. So that's why I filed for unemployment for reduction in hours, because I was supposed to be redeployed already. Hopefully that forces them to redeploy me sooner, but in the meantime, I'm still moving out of my apartment and just trying to plan like plans A and B. Like plan A, going back, plan B, not going back, and just trying to have everything set up for both sides of that. Um, and unfortunately, I'm not sure if I need to reconnect. Okay, guys. Hopefully you're still there. Yes, looks like we're back. Okay, so I don't know what just happened, but the whole stream just disconnected. So essentially, they were supposed to then give us a second extension on the job through March, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen, and if it does, I don't know how they're going to handle that because they keep reducing the number of sites, meaning they need fewer staff. I mean, it might be February and I get called back and I'm completely moved on with my life, and who knows what will happen at that time. But essentially, it comes down to, if they ask me to go back, I'll go back because I need the money. But if they don't ask me to go back, I'm just going to move forward and, focus on YouTube during the unemployment period. And of course, two things will happen with that. Either I'll be able to create enough revenue through YouTube that I don't have to go back to work. Oh, hey, Tom. Oh, thank you for the super chat. That's awesome, man. Thank you. So I'll either be able to create enough income through YouTube to go ahead and be able to just continue doing that full time and continue building like the coaching side of the business, or I will be able to go back to work. And if I go back to work for the company I'm working for, that'll be for a pretty significant amount of money. But if it's that second one, I still will put the time and work into the YouTube channel in the meantime, which means that I'll passively be earning more than I do now. And so Lalo, you said, have you thought about running for public office? And I'll say I don't have a lot of interest in it, but like, maybe. When I was in high school, I ran for just like it was like a class representative position, and it was, I think it was like, I forget how exactly our student senate was set up, or student council, I don't remember what it was called, but essentially, I got totally screwed on that. This is back in high school. This was like probably 2000, 2001. I filled out everything to be on the ballot, and then something happened. Like, I got pulled into a meeting with a teacher or something and didn't even get to vote for myself, because like the time period where you were allowed to vote was when I got called into this thing. So I didn't even get to vote for myself. And my friend, who I asked about it, he's like, yeah, you weren't even on the ballot. So then they announced that, like, they announced all the candidates and announced that I was the only one that had 0 votes, which was, like, over the intercom to the entire school. So I was so embarrassed, but more so than that, I was, like, upset because, like, well, yeah, I had 0 votes because you guys didn't put me on the ballot. Like, I don't know what happened. But honestly, in high school, we didn't have the opportunity to have a platform in any way. So it was really just a popularity contest. And, you could run for class president or any of the other class positions, but it literally meant nothing because you didn't have policies. It was just, it really was just popularity. So, now as far as anything else, I don't know if I would run. If I did, it would be something like a city council, or like a school board position, or maybe if I'm living in a rural area, maybe like a township trustee. But that would also mean that I'd have to be settled down somewhere, and that doesn't really seem like something that I'm gonna do. Even if I have like a primary residence, I plan on having multiple places to live, and just like, depending on the season or how I'm feeling, like, I'll bounce around to different places. So, primarily I wouldn't even be in one jurisdiction. Have you thought about living in your vehicle? Yeah, I have. And believe me, I've both thought of that for saving money and for the content that I can produce. I follow a couple of different frugal and financial YouTubers that I've collabed with in the past, that live van life, right? And people find that so interesting. It definitely would help out the channel. But I've thought this out, and so to answer your question, yes, I've thought about it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how I've thought about it, but I'm going to tell you right now why I'm not doing it. And primarily, I live in Ohio, and It is cold here 10 months out of the year. And people think I'm exaggerating when I say that, but like, it starts getting cold in August. It'll be 110 degrees during the day, but it'll be 30 degrees at night. And it is cold until usually about mid-June, which is where it starts getting warm during the day, but still cold at night. So really end of June is when it warms up. That means I only have 2 months during the year that it's a reasonable temperature. And if I'm living in a van that doesn't have like insulationing and doesn't have, like a very good source of being heated, that's just not going to work where I live. The other thing about living in a vehicle is, and you guys have seen this over time with my vehicles, I have a very hard time keeping a vehicle maintained just because of the cost of it. So you have the payment, you have the insurance payment, and then you have all the repair costs, and then of course gas and stuff like that. But vehicles are so expensive, and I wouldn't be able to financially maintain a car like that. I just wouldn't be able to. Not to mention converting it in the first place. Now I know I could just throw a sleeping bag in the back, and that would be van life too. But a lot of these people go like all out, build actual kitchens in there and stuff, and there's no way that I would have the money up front to do that. So that's another reason. Plus, it's fairly well frowned upon to live in your vehicle. I realize that most Walmart parking lots you can sleep in, they actually encourage people to set up van life in their parking lots. There's some stuff like that, but for the most part, you're always kind of under a watchful eye. I would always be afraid that somebody's going to come like bang on the door at night and that sort of thing. So yeah, and I mean, just to throw this out there, like, so my girl, she had talked about moving into her car earlier this year. I know you guys know that we were like planning on moving in together. There's been some stuff that happened with her that's prevented that from happening, but she wanted out of her situation so badly that she literally had thought about living in her car, and I respect that. I think that while that's probably going to suck, like that really could be a fun adventure too. But I will tell you guys this. I do like some aspects of van life and that lifestyle and living in your car and being a nomad. For the reasons that I just said, I'm not going to do that directly. But I can't give you guys the details right now, but I've got something like that planned for my next housing situation. I'm not living in a vehicle, but it is why my housing is so cheap, the one that I'm moving into. Which unfortunately this month I have like this overlap where I still have to pay rent on the apartment and utilities, and I have to pay rent there. You could start a Patreon to fund your lifestyle. I mean, so that would be awesome. And I'll tell you guys that long term, Patreon and things similar to it, those are some things that I'm considering doing. But so right now I have just shy of like 2,500 subscribers. And I feel, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but I feel like I'm kind of presumptuous to make a Patreon right now. Because like I try not to ask for money. I get money from AdSense when you guys watch the videos. So, like Tom donated $2 earlier, and that's awesome. And occasionally someone finds the PayPal link in the description of the videos and will donate there. And if you do that, those payments go directly to debt. But it just, I feel like maybe I'm not legitimate enough as a YouTuber to ask for money like that. So I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. I'm actually saying that I am eventually going to make one, but I'm just not sure at what sort of subscriber level I need to be at in order to do something like that. So the other thing is with Patreon, generally you're paying for access to more content. And with me working so much, I've had a hard time making just even the general content just for YouTube, even just like the budget reviews and the budget with me's. I've had a really hard time getting that stuff even made. So I don't want to sell people access to additional material and then like not follow through with providing it just because I'm so busy. So it has to be something that like I really, I guess, am in a good enough place where I feel I'm going to be stable for a long enough period of time that I'm able to um, provide what I promise with that. So, but yeah, just so you guys know, like I am trying to be creative with my new housing situation. But it is something where I won't be able to tell you guys what I'm doing while I'm doing it. I'm going to film videos of it while I'm doing it that I'll post later. But if I were to announce publicly that I'm doing it, I probably would get thrown out. So I don't want that to happen. So it's essentially like I'm going to make some videos at the time, and then right before I move out, I'm going to like make a whole thing about like, this is what I did. Which I think you guys will find at least creative, hopefully entertaining. But I mean, no matter what, it's going to save me a ton of money in the end. Anything new with that investment you were talking about? Okay, so I just got two questions at once. Let me answer Lalo's first. It came in first, and then I'll get to Tom's. So anything new about the investment you were talking about? Yes. So here's the thing. It took absolutely forever for this to go through the lawyer, through the court. I have no idea why it took so long, but I did get it. Okay. I did get it, and I got the paperwork confirming that. Oh, let's see. What day did I get home? October 9th. It was in my mailbox when I got home. So, yeah, that again, in the list of videos that I have ready that I need to make for you guys, that is one of them. And I'm going to explain all of that. But I do have it now. It is completed, and I did get a pretty good return on the amount that I paid for it. I'll calculate that exactly, and I'll go ahead and put that in there. Now, it does already reflect in my net worth, so you won't see like a big jump in that next month or anything, but it is listed in there. Essentially, there were a couple of things that made it not as big of a return as I thought, but it was still a sizable return. In my head, I'm thinking it was like, I don't know, 20-30% return, which is obviously like much more than you would get from the stock market or something like that. But yeah, so I do have the big investment that has been like 2 or 3 years in the making. And not only that, there are a few complications that might hold this up, but this investment is something that might make me money. At the worst, it's going to cost me about $3 a year just to maintain it, but that's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, I'm able to fully do everything that I want to with it and use it. That whole like thing of like it takes money to make money. Well, I've just never had money in order to make more money, and now I own a thing that can make me money. And part of me going like full time. I say full time on YouTube, but what I really mean is that going full time on working on my own investments and building my wealth and income. YouTube is the large majority of that, but there are some other things, including that investment. So, like that investment, that's something that I'm going to be able to um, hopefully leverage. Now, there is one thing that is standing in the way of that, and there are some possible solutions to it too. Um, but it is still an appreciable asset that I now fully own, that I'll be able to do, or I'll be able to do something with. And Tom said, have you thought of making some more controversial content? Like really exposing some of the shady practices from debt collectors slash previous employers. Um, so I don't want to like go extremely controversial because I'm sure you guys have noticed there's a lot of negativity on this channel, right? Like if you look at this video right now, it's literally at 50% likes, 2 dislikes. Every video I post gets like disliked to hell, and I've had people ask me why that's the case. And unfortunately, oh, thank you for whoever just liked it. But I have like, I literally for years I've had trolls follow me. You guys know I've had people contact my employer, impersonate me to my professors in college, the professors I had in college. I've had people do some really, really weird shit. And when you're a super small YouTuber, I mean, I'm still small now, but like even when I had like 500 subscribers, I had this weird stuff happening. There are just a lot of people who straight out hate me already, okay? So I don't want to go super controversial because I feel like my channel already has much more than its own normal share of, I guess, negativity and trolls and hatred and things like that. And I feel like if I get into more controversial topics, obviously that's going to bring more of that. But with what you're suggesting, I am actually sort of going more in that direction. And I don't mean that I'm pushing the channel in that direction in general, but I am going to make some content that is like what you're talking about here. So the one thing I see, you said exposing some of the shady practices from debt collectors. If something happens to me with like a debt collector, I will absolutely call them out by name and make a video. There has been stuff in the past, but honestly, I have a terrible memory, and it's not going to be very entertaining for me to make a video that's basically a paragraph long saying they did this horrible thing in the past, but I don't really remember any details of it. But if it happens now, yeah, I absolutely will call them out on it. You guys know that I probably will not end up having to pay that like $90,000 chunk of student loans that I mean, I'm assuming they lost the paperwork because there were articles back in 2017 saying that this company had like lost all the paperwork and could not collect on these loans, and I'm assuming that's what's happened with them as well. And if that's the case, I'll find out in like the next year or two. Oh, thank you for the like. But I should be able to know here within a year or two if that's the case. And then after that point, I would essentially make a video saying something along the lines of, you know, what ended up happening after I defaulted on private loans, and I would tell the story of like, well, tried to pay it, they wouldn't work with me at all, you know, called the loans, and then just like essentially never tried to collect on them. So I could make a video like that. Now you do say exposing shady practices of previous employers. I made a video last fall about working at Target. It was called something like Working at Target, My Experience and Why I Quit. And that is actually my highest earning video on this channel. I think what's happening is I think Target is advertising on the video. So as it's going into, oh, thank you for the like. As it's going into the Christmas season, they are advertising more, and I think because it says Target in it, YouTube is not like equating that it's kind of a negative thing about Target, so Target's like advertising on that video. And it is a pretty long video. It's like 45 minutes or so, but it has, like, the average watch time on it is about 11 minutes, which is the longest of any of my videos that I have. So people are watching more ads, and that's another reason why it's earning so much. So it gets the highest earnings and the highest watch time. I also have made videos like that about Abercrombie & Fitch and American Eagle, which were a little less popular. I'll get... Oh, okay, Lalo, I see your question there. So but I essentially, I will tell you this. I have some videos planned that hopefully, now that I have the time, by the end of the year or very early next year, we'll have finally done. I want to make a very similar video to the one I made at Target about Whole Foods. That's essentially going to say, like, working at Whole Foods, my experience, and why I quit. Now, unfortunately, because it's taken me so long to make this video, I would have had the only video out there like that. Now there's like 4 or 5 videos that people have made that are similar, so I'm not going to have kind of a monopoly on that, but at least I can get my story out there. And I didn't have the greatest experience at Whole Foods. I mean, it wasn't overall terrible, but the ending of it was not good. So, you know, I would say that I am in some ways going to be exposing some of their shady practices, which, when you think Whole Foods, you may not think of shady things, but it definitely is some of that going on there. I'm also going to make a video about being an ambassador at Lyft. And then I am going to make a big video, which I think is going to be popular, called something along the lines of why I stopped driving for Uber and Lyft. And the reason, even though I stopped driving for Uber and Lyft like 2.5 years ago, the reason I haven't made that video yet was because there were a lot of numbers that needed to be crunched. I essentially went back through my old records and figured out how much I was making per week, how much I made overall, and broke it down to a dollar amount per hour, minus all the repairs I ended up having to do to the car and stuff for using it for that. And I think it's going to be pretty shocking to people to find out how much I actually made, or how little I actually made per hour driving for that. So, especially because that's kind of a big topic right now with, what is it? I can't remember the name of it, but it's the California's law that's forcing Uber and Lyft to classify their drivers as employees. So that is something that people are looking into. So basically I have Lyft, Uber. Okay, hopefully we're back. It disconnected again. So I see that, let's see, Lalo's asked 2 questions. Okay, so have you... Oh, we're back. Okay, thanks, the Duke. I wasn't sure. Sometimes on my end it shows that, like, it's disconnected, but you guys can see it just fine. Okay, so have you ever done a HireVue interview? I applied to Target and they emailed me wanting to do one. I haven't heard of HireVue. When I was there, they used a system called Workday, which was actually the same system Whole Foods used. So I think that must be, like, you know, a pretty widespread system for retail use. I'm trying to think, because I think when I applied, it was 2018, and I applied online, they called me, I did some paperwork in person. I'm not sure that I actually did any interview. So I did both interviews in person, and maybe they're not doing those right now because of the whole virus thing. That might be the case, and maybe they've, like, got this system started in order to do that. Did you start lifting when they just started? Some drivers were making 100,000 plus, before they started cutting rates. So yeah, I actually did, but I didn't at the same time. So for those of you who don't know, my company I worked for, not the one that I still technically work for, but Candid that I've talked about. The CEO of Candid is Nick Greenfield, who was hire number 3 for Lyft. So I think he was some sort of chief officer there. And that was actually how I found out about Candid and how I got my job there, was because I knew this like super high up person from working indirectly with him at Lyft. And so yeah, so he he essentially was the person who developed Candid as well. But back when he worked at Lyft, it wasn't Lyft. It was called Zimride. The guy who actually owns Lyft is John Zimmer. And so he developed this from, Zimride comes from his name. I signed up for Zimride back in February of 2013, way before Lyft existed, and I'm not even sure if Uber existed, but it was the precursor to Lyft, and it wasn't rideshare in the sense that we think of it now. I, at that point, had moved to Morgantown, West Virginia, and I was simultaneously working for West Virginia University in the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life, but I was also working at Abercrombie and Fitch. And so that was, for that second job, was actually how I got transferred up there. So I was working for them, and in the student union, the Mountain Lair, they had this big banner up that was like WVU endorsed rideshare. And I was like, what the heck is rideshare? So I looked into the website, and it essentially was where students could carpool together. Students who had cars would get some sort of reimbursement for gas from the university through using this system. So it was kind of the precursor to rideshare, but not exactly. So with that said, I never actually used it. I was just signed up. But if you go into my actual Lyft rider account right now, it still shows I signed up in 2013, because they just converted that account into a Lyft account. I actually wasn't familiar with how much the drivers started making, but I know that Uber, I signed up for Uber back when it was still pretty exclusive. Back when I signed up to be an Uber driver, and this was in 2014, the only thing they had was Uber Black, and they expected you to wear a suit or at least dress clothes to be a driver. It was this white glove experience. It was before they created Uber X, which is what almost everybody uses now, which is like the low price standard Uber. Uber was a luxury service, and I was trying to make some money, and I had a car, so I signed up. And what they did back then was you didn't even use your own phone. They mailed you this black box that when you opened it up, it had a brand new iPhone in it that had been set up so you could really only use their app and navigation on it. And they paid for it, paid for the data, everything. They were, at that time, I think it was claiming that it was $90,000 you can make in a year. I don't know if that was true, but if you consider that you are using your own car, and even if you're just calculating the federal mileage rate, you might make $90,000 in a year, but how much of that do you get to keep, right? So I don't know. It may have ended up being better than the cut that the drivers get now, but I mean, it's probably still not good. And just for an example, I saw a post yesterday. I'm still in some of the driver groups, and I saw somebody post yesterday that their customer told them they paid $20 for the fare, and they only got $7 for it. So, that's Uber's taking like nearly 2/3 of the fare. And then you said HireVue is system where they have you record answers to interview questions by yourself. They review the video afterwards. I know it uses AI to track your voice and eye movements. So no, we didn't have that when I applied for Target. There was something like that when I applied for Shipt. Which Shipt is like the grocery delivery app. You did have to record video responses to the interview questions and submit those. I'm not sure if it tracked anything or if it was just somebody on the back end that watched the videos. But yeah, no, I haven't had anything like that. I think, I don't know, honestly, I wouldn't like that. I have a big problem with jobs that use like personality tests for that, because like my degree is in clinical psych, right? Like I'm actually trained to interpret these tests, right? These companies that are giving them, they don't have the qualifications to interpret them. So they're using them to justify whether or not they hire you, but it's all based on, you know, a layperson interpreting a test that they're not qualified to interpret. So it's just really frustrating because I could actually interpret those tests for them. Have you ever negotiated higher pay when getting a job offer? Yes. And I think of a couple of examples. Probably the best example was 2015. There was a job that I quit after a few months. It was, I think the title of the video about that is just I quit my job. But I quit that job because that was the one that made me work 70 hours a week, 7 days a week, which was not what I signed up for. But with that, so that I don't know how much they were going to offer me originally. The interview went really well. Like, they loved me. And then they offered me the job, but I remember, like, basically when I saw the pay, I was just like, yeah, no. I want to say maybe it was, they might have offered me like 12 or 13, no, maybe it was like $14 an hour. And I was just like, no. Because I had gone on Glassdoor for that company and that position, and I saw that the average that they were paying was like $18.25 an hour, with like the max of the range being like 22. So I essentially was just like, no, I can't do that. And I did two things. I broke it down for them, and I said, like, here's what my costs would be living there, like living on site with your rent after the discount, all this stuff. Then, like, here's what that pay would cover. And I showed them that, one, if they paid me that, I wouldn't be able to afford rent at their apartment. And the other thing was that I showed that their own data showed that they paid much more than that. So they wouldn't give me like the $22 an hour. They claimed that that was like for their Chicago people. But I ended up getting 17 an hour, which was like, you know, several dollars an hour more than they offered to me. So that's probably the best example. But I have other times, yeah. I would, I just started, that question you just asked, I just started thinking about that. So as far as like, other times that I've negotiated wages, it's been more like this last job that I got in February. They were like, they wanted to pay, I found out later through looking through some of their documents on the computer that their range for the position was 14 to 16 an hour, and they paid me 17. And the way that I got that was I just said, they asked me what I expected as pay, and I was like, well, I make 17 now, so I would be happy with that. And they gave me 17, which again was like above their range. Um, okay, so if you were dating an attractive chick and later on you found out she was trans, would you continue dating them? Uh, I don't know. This reminds me of William James's thought experiment, the automatic sweetheart. He basically says that if you were dating somebody and you found out they were a robot, would you still love them? Why or why not? That delves into a lot of stuff, right? You gotta. Um, I had to write a 30-page paper on that in college, so I'm not gonna go into all my reasoning on that, but um, that's really tough to answer because like there's like a logic part of it, and logically, no, I wouldn't. Um, but when you're dating somebody, you have feelings involved too. Um, I think feelings oftentimes override logic. Um, but then I also would kind of feel like maybe like tricked or like lied to or something. So then that might take part of the emotional override away from it. I really don't know. Um, Now, what I could tell you, and this was part of my answer to the William James automatic sweetheart problem, was not exactly the same situation, but something maybe in between. And I can tell you what my answer was to that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with androgen insensitivity syndrome, but it essentially is, everybody starts out female, right, as like a fetus. Everyone's female. And then there's this extra wash of testosterone where if the fetus has the androgen receptors, they are the testosterone is like absorbed, I guess, and it brings about changes so that it becomes male, and that's why men have nipples. But because of that process, sometimes it doesn't work totally right, and there are people out there that are biologically male. They have a Y chromosome, but they present female. They have they're not sensitive to the androgens. So when that wash of testosterone comes that's supposed to turn them male, they stay female. Um, Now, generally, I think that they're infertile, but they do grow breasts. They do have everything is female looking. They present female. They think they're female. Um, and until the last 20 or 30 years, with us being able to do genetic testing, no one would have known they weren't female. Um, Now, that said, most of the time it's not a total insensitivity. Usually there are some abnormalities um, where they might present more as like intersex or something like that. But there are times where it's a and complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. And you can Google that on YouTube, and there are a couple people that look completely female but are biologically male that do talk about that in videos. And I essentially said that if that were the case, if it was a complete androgen insensitivity syndrome, that this person did not know that they were biologically male and therefore weren't lying to me or being deceptive. And we found out at some point later, after they were a committed partner to me, um, I would continue in that because, I don't feel like there was any lying or deception, and I feel like that person would continue choosing to live their lives as a female because that's how they see themselves. Um, I mean, we would just know and keep it between the two of us that they are biologically male, but they're never gonna like turn into a male. So that's sort of like approaching your question, but not exactly. I'm not sure how I would feel. I don't have anything against trans people or trans women, and like my job at Candid, one of my good friends that sat across the table from me, Lydia, she was trans, and so like I don't have an issue there recognizing them as what they identify as. Um, at the same time, I wouldn't choose to date someone who is trans. And while it's kind of an unpopular opinion, I do think that that's something that they should tell you, so you can make a decision on your own. Um, I just prefer to date women who, you know, not only identify as female, but were born that way. And I think that, again, unpopular opinion, but I think that that's a choice that I should be allowed to make and have the information presented to me in order to make that decision. With that said, though, I'm not sure how often that would ever be a problem where, I was you said dating, so I was dating somebody and they like told me later. Every time I've ever met anyone, um, like they've always just told me like pretty much right up front. So, um, not in like a dating situation, but I'm sure they would. This is just like in a meeting them kind of situation. So, I don't think it's something that, unless the person was intending to be deceptive, I don't think that it's something that I would really run into. Why don't most of the people watching comment? I don't know. Um, I mean, I guess I don't care either way. Um, maybe they just don't have questions. Maybe, I mean, I've definitely watched live streams and um, not actually participated, so that's fine. But also, um, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's fine. Um, is it snowing yet? Uh, I thought it was snowing last night, but I'm not sure. I went to the grocery store fairly late last night, and it was cold and wet and rainy, and it kind of looked like maybe this like the rain was starting to subside though. Um, so yeah, not happy about that. I don't like the cold at all. Does Whole Foods give you an employee discount? Yeah, you get 20%. Um, which that sounds decent, but Whole Foods is expensive, so um, after 20%, it's still more expensive than anywhere else. Um, every once in a while, very rarely, um, they give you like these little dollars for things, and you can trade those. They're for like a job well done sort of thing, like little gift certificate things, and you can use those to pay for food as well. All right. So it looks like we're down to 7 now. Let me know if there are any last minute questions. Oh, have you thought about returning to retail management? No, no. My return to retail was working at Target and Whole Foods. Um, I'd been out of retail for 4 years at that point, and no, I just have no interest in it. Like, my interests in jobs that I could possibly do, it's just narrowing more and more over time. I really just need to be working on my own things, whether it be YouTube or coaching or investments or whatever it is, eventually real estate investing. Like, that's what I need to be working on. And the longer I go without being able to work on that stuff and bringing in my own income, the more unhappy I am, and the more that I'm just not going to be able to be happy at any job, really. With that said, though, I'm actually going the opposite direction. I haven't announced this anywhere yet, and it may be a few more months before you guys even see anything, but I am going to be looking at bringing on an intern to help with the channel. It would be an unpaid internship for a period of like 1 semester if they're a college student, or maybe like 6 months for somebody that's not in college. I just can't afford to pay them right now because I can't afford to pay myself. But I'm sure there'd be people out there that, especially, you know, like college student age, that would love to get involved with like the behind the scenes of a YouTube channel and what exactly happens here, and how the business is run, and handling social media and that sort of thing. So in order to do that, there are a couple local colleges that I'm going to partner with to develop a curriculum for that, so that they actually get school credit for it. Are you still involved with your fraternity? Yeah, not super involved, but like I am. I'm on a volunteer committee right now. Honestly, I just don't have time. That's the biggest thing. I just don't have the time, and every time that I think I have my life together enough to commit to a volunteer position with them, then something crazy happens, and I end up like staying on the committee, but like doing the bare minimum work, and I know it makes me look bad. Same thing happens every time I think I'm in a place where I can donate money to them. I'll do like $10 a month, and then something happens where $10 a month is just like way too much for me to pay. So I just really don't do a whole lot with it. But it is something that's still pretty important to me, and I need to be better at it. One of the things I'd like to do, they offered it to me last year, but I was not in a place to do it. But once I get my life together a little bit, get some money coming in from coaching, where I'm not so worried about money all the time, there's 2 things I'd like to do. They asked me back in 2013 to be a small group facilitator for the Leadership Institute, and I would love to do that. And the other thing is to be the financial advisor for a chapter. Now, they did ask me to be the friend at the time, but I think that they offered me that based on them knowing that I had this channel, because the fraternity actually featured me in the fraternity magazine for what I do here, and I think that that was their motivation for offering the financial position. So if something like that were to come up, either at that chapter or another one, I would gladly join the chapter council. I would just be in a position where I would be one-on-one mentoring the chapter treasurer, and I think that that would be sort of a stepping stone along the road of building some credibility for me being, again, like a personal finance coach, and showing that I do have some expertise in doing this beyond just having the channel, that I actually hold positions in finance in other areas. So, you know, when I feel like I'm stable, I'll reach out to them and see if that's a possibility of getting a position like that. All right, guys. So, let me know if you have any last minute questions. It's been about an hour and a half here, and it looks like we're down to 8 people. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys... Oh, wait. Any more story times? So, it kind of depends on what you mean by story time, but I do have some. So I said earlier I'm going to make the videos about the past jobs, but I'm also going to make... Essentially, I need to make a video for you guys about telling you why I left that job that I had in like February, March, and April of this year. And along with that goes what I thought I was getting into for this job I've been working this summer, and what I plan to be able to do with all the money that I was making with that. That's like one video. Then there's like a second video that comes off of that that is going to be more of an update of like, well, here's the plan when I'm no longer working for this company. And like, this is how I'm going to um, focus mainly on YouTube and what I see coming in the future for myself and for the channel. So I don't know if you consider those story times, because they're just kind of like updates. There are some things that I'll post, like I'm moving, so I might make a video about why I'm moving. I'm a little hesitant to make that one because a lot of it might just be me ranting about my apartment complex. Like today, they sent me a notification that I owe them $39, which I absolutely do not. So I just sent them an email telling them that I don't, and I'm not paying it. So we'll see how that goes. But it's just constantly something with them. And, you know, so I might make a video about like why I'm moving, or something along those lines. I'm not sure. I guess there's not really anything exciting happening in my life. But one of the things that I will make is a video about, it's not exactly what I do on this channel, but it's more about, I'm going to have the opportunity here soon to work on cleaning out my storage unit, and sort of getting my life in order that way. And that's something that I'm going to probably make a video about as well. So it's going to be more like cleaning, organizing, bordering on like minimalism kind of thing, that I'll have there. And so yeah, anyway guys, I don't know if something comes up and I have a story time thing, I can. We'll just have to see how that goes. But what I'm essentially doing is, for right now, once I get everything moved out of this apartment and get my car fixed, I'm gonna be going into just doing this full time, like literally full time, working 40 hours a week on making videos, responding to comments, and researching the things that I need to do to like turn this into like a legitimate business. And as part of that, one of the things, because I need to be making money right away, that I'm going to be focusing on is building more of the aspect of doing the financial coaching. So if any of you are interested in that, whether I can help you like dispute debt with collectors, or like building a budget, or something like that, feel free to email me. Or if you're seeing this video after it's been uploaded to YouTube, because the live comments I don't think go with it, but you can just post in the comments below and I'll respond to you. But just, I'm basically going to be doing this. I'm going to do an email coaching thing, or we can do like Zoom, or if you happen to be local, either Central Ohio or Northwestern West Virginia, either of the places that I'm going to be, then we can arrange a time to meet in person, and I can do that. But you know, as long as it's something that I feel I have the knowledge to help you with, or that I can reasonably look up quickly and be able to figure out for you, you know, I'll help with that. And I think that's more the direction that I'm going to be going, is more of, on top of just my own journey of doing this, helping other people as well. So I don't see any more questions coming up. Thank you, Tom, for the $2 super chat from earlier. And thank you for everybody who liked the video. I've got 5 likes today. Still got 7 people watching. So thank you guys for tuning into this. This is the longest one we've done. I think it's over an hour and a half. I do have to run over to the mall, pick up some clothes that I ordered, because I got to pick them up by tomorrow or they're going to send them back. But other than that, guys, I shouldn't be too late in getting the budget review and budget with me up this month. should still be the first week of November, and then hopefully I will have some other updates for you guys, just little short videos throughout the month. But yeah, once I get moved completely, it'll help with the budget reviews, because obviously I will be spending a lot less money, but it'll also mean that I have a lot more time to just work on this, which is really the main goal. So hopefully I'll have a lot more stuff coming toward you guys, or like towards you guys here pretty soon. So I don't see any more comments, so I'm going to end the stream here, and just stay tuned for more info to be posted publicly about coaching sessions. Reach out to me if you're interested. Otherwise, just expect here in about a week or so, I'll have those end of the month and beginning of the month videos up for you. And in the meantime, if you guys need me, my business email is listed in the About section on my channel profile. So you can always reach out to me there. Might be a little slow to get back to you, but I will get back to you. All right, so, all right, guys. Don't see any more comments, so I guess I will see you guys in next month's live stream then.